Okay, so Venthyr for Windwalker. Um, some pretty good Soulbind options, to be honest, all around. Nadia, the first one you unlock, you can get a disorient on your Door of Shadows or movement speed. So, really nice. Um, if you go with the disorient, obviously that's gonna have diminishing returns with your end cap, your paralysis, but it's still really good. Gives you some flexibility on your CC there. Potency Conduit out of that into a finesse. And then you have to take this one. And then where you go from here, if you want a finesse, if you're, this is really good for just all around, to be honest. Like getting your food buff, your flask, and weapon enchants increased by 15%. Really cool. If you want this potency conduit, then you have to go this route, which isn't bad. I mean, any snares and roots on you are reduced by 25%, so not terrible at all, especially the root part. I like Dauntless Duelist, so it marks your first target as your adversary, and you do 4% more damage to them. They do 2% less to you, and that will give you an endurance conduit going this way into your final potency. But you could easily pick up, 3 potencies by going this route. So, yeah, if you want just, flat 4% more damage to your main target, then this route would be good. Or if you want that extra potency conduit, you know, which is good because, I mean, all of these are really good potency conduits for Windwalker. And then the final buff is definitely good too because it stacks so quickly. So every 2 seconds in combat, or 4 stacks on killing an enemy, um, is what you gain, and then at 40 stacks it consumes that to give you euphoria, so it increases your haste by 20% for 10 seconds. Decays rapidly while you're not in combat, but when you're in combat, yeah, it stacks up really quickly. So pretty nice, especially considering we don't really stack haste as a Windwalker. This is a nice way of getting a huge chunk of passive haste. Just being in combat and doing your rotation, which does help with lowering our cooldowns and getting Fist of Fury to channel quicker and things like that. So, yeah, really solid Soulbind with Nadia. And the other ones have some nice stuff as well. Like this one, you can get 2 charges of Door of Shadows, but it just increases the overall cooldown by 30 seconds. Or you can get this one to make sure that you have an escape mechanism in PvP. So whenever you door shadows, like let's say you door, towards a pillar, you're not only going to get towards that pillar, but any slow that was on you or whatever, it'll clear that, and that'll put you into a potency conduit. So could be a good one for PvP, especially if you don't want, a finesse conduit here. So if I ended up going Venthyr, more for PvP reasons, I could definitely see this game being a good route. Get 2 potency conduits going this route right here. And then this next row, kind of more PvE oriented for the most part, because this one makes your combat potions last 20 to 100% longer. Bit of RNG to go with your RNG. And then this one, your spells and abilities will call 2 guys to your side for 12 seconds. And they'll have a shaded area on the ground. If you stand in that, you gain 350 mastery, which is really good. But, you know, it's more of a PvE thing 90% of the time because, you know, you have to stand in that area. But, you know, potential usage even in PvP, because if you leg sweep someone, you know, and they proc right there, like you have an extra 350 mastery to work with for at least a few seconds. And then this one will lead you into your Potency Conduit, and it just gives a small shield to mainly your healer, you know, that's healing you or giving you magic buffs. Every 20 seconds, you give them a small shield, basically like, hey, thanks for healing me. So yeah, you can easily pick up 3 Potency Conduits um, with Theatar, whatever his name is, into an Endurance, which is really nice. You can pick up the Expel Harm Healing. And then this one's just kind of like a PvE thing, you know, you can get extra herbs and beverages and stuff whenever you kill something. And this one's with the Ember Court, which I'm not completely aware of what all that entails, so I won't really go into that. And then your final one is good. Whenever you pop your main ability, which is Fallen Order, you get 10% verse, and your 4 other party members, like if you're in Mythic Plus, or 2 if you're in 3v3, whatever, will gain 4% versatility. So, and it lasts 30 seconds, like it's a very long duration for the buff. So it kind of makes up for the fact that Fallen Order is a longer cooldown, you know, with 3 minutes, as opposed to the 2 minutes with Carrion. You know, that helps make up for that a little bit because that buff lasts for 30 seconds. And then with General Draven, the first one is kind of whatever. And then you'll get an Endurance either way. Built for war, while you're above 80% health, you gain 1% agility every 3 seconds, stacking up to 5. So 5% agility, and it's lost if you fall below 50%. Really good PvE buff, leads into a finesse. Successfully interrupting an enemy or dispelling an ally. Both of those very easy to do in a PvP situation, especially. But even in Mythic Plus, like you're going to be interrupting a lot. You get 10% crit for 10 seconds every 30 seconds by doing, you know, one of those things, leading you into an Endurance Conduit. And then hold your ground. I don't like as much anything that, you know, requires you to just stand still. I'm usually not a fan of. But yeah, standing still for at least 4 seconds grants 10% stam and 4% increased healing done. So this one would be really good if you like playing Mistweaver like I do. But, you know, not as much for a Windwalker, but that's the one that's going to lead you into your Potency Conduit. So, you know, kind of sucks in that regard, but, you know, you're channeling Fist of Fury and just standing there, then, you know, you'll gain this buff. So it's not terrible. You get a potency out of that into another potency. Either way, whichever you do, you'll get at least 2 potencies. But if you want this third one, then you'll have to go with Hold Your Ground. This row here is really good. Door of Shadows grants you a shield that absorbs damage equal to 15% of your max health for last 8 seconds. Or move as one. When a nearby ally gains temporary increased movement speed, you also gain the benefit up to 30% for 8 seconds. So, yeah. And then the left one, which is a little better anyway, in my opinion, leads you into that Potency Conduit. This move as one will lead you to Endurance. And then the last one, damage taken below 40% is reduced by 10%. So a mini shield wall just whenever you drop below 40. And if you die, then it leaves a stone husk on the ground that shatters after 3 seconds, inflicting 100% of your max health and damage, split among nearby enemies. So a meteor effect, basically. And then healing 100% of your max health, split among any of your allies nearby as well. So, yeah, pretty good tree overall. Some great options all around. Alright, so cooldown's up. So yeah, Fallen Order, 3-minute cooldown, and pretty brainless to use. So no big worries there. If you're running hit combo or relying on certain buffs like a verse buff or anything like that, then you'll probably want to wait until you have those stacked up to pop this, just because it is a 3-minute cooldown. So you want to make the best use of it that you can. I'm not running hit combo at the moment. I'm running dance, but actually I'll just run hit combo, and then we'll build it to max with the first set of spirits, and then once it's maxed out and the first set ends, then I'll pop Fallen Order with it too, just to kind of show you. I'm running Fist of the White Tiger right now just to have easier combo point gen. Because when I don't run that, I usually open with Tiger Palm, Chi Wave, and then Tiger Palm, so that I'm not breaking mastery and I build up a quick 4 points. But anyway, let's go through this. It's pretty easy. So pop spirits here. Fist of Fury. Whirling Dragon Punch. And get some chi and let our fists come back up. Then we'll pop spirits and weapons, or not weapons, Fallen Order. And you can see this portal here is just releasing spirits. And you can see some of them are going to channel heals on your allies and stuff. And the tiger ones are going to hit with First of Fury and Spinning Crane Kick. Excuse me. So, yeah, pretty easy cooldown to use. I just don't like the fact that it's 3 minutes. But if it's going to be 3 minutes long, I feel like they should change it to where it's based on your spec, right? So Windwalkers only get the Fallen Tiger Adepts. And then I feel like you would get a lot more value for a 3-minute cooldown, instead of having some of them that, probably taunt PvE mobs if they, or the Ox ones and the Cranes just channel heals. And the heals are not necessarily channeled on you either. They're just channeled on random nearby allies. Like you saw the Mistweaver one was sitting there channeling on a guy over here that I'm not even grouped with, right? So it's just kind of silly, to be honest. Like if it were more of a focused cooldown where, it only gave you Tiger Adepts, or if at the very least the other ones were more focused on what you're doing, like the healers only healed you or people that you're grouped with, you know, stuff like that. Like I feel like it would be more worth, it would warrant that 3-minute cooldown. But yeah, I mean, still a powerful cooldown, don't get me wrong, but those are the changes I would make to it if you're going to keep that cooldown. Otherwise, if Blizzard wants to keep it the way it is, then I think it's more of a 2-minute cooldown in its current state. So anyway, that's Venthyr stuff. Pretty decent overall, to be honest. I can't really complain too much about Venthyr. I think it just could just be um, tweaked a bit, you know, to be better. But I'll show Night Fae. I'll head over and switch to Night Fae and then show you guys that as well. Okay, so Night Fae, Soulbinds for Windwalker, or just Monk in general. But with Naya, you can get 15% of your max health um, over 9 seconds, I think it is. But yeah, basically 5% of your max health every 3 seconds. Um, or you can get a cooldown reduction on your soul shape, whichever way you go. This way will give you a potency conduit, and I think this one overall is a little more powerful anyway. Um, especially as a Windwalker, because I don't feel like you need the extra soul shape cooldown reduction. You already have a pretty good amount of mobility, but you know, for other specs, maybe for Brewmaster or something, this might be a little bit better to get an extra endurance conduit. So yeah, and then leads into a finesse. Um, and then here, these are all pretty solid, to be honest. This one will put a burr on your target, so if they cross that threshold, then reduces their movement speed by 20, and it puts a nature dot over 6 seconds on them. This one is great as well. Anytime you interrupt, it puts a paralytic poison, dealing 4,400 nature damage over 30 seconds. Not a high amount, but if they already have paralytic poison on them, then it will do additional nature damage when you interrupt them again, and then you'll get a potency conduit out of that into another potency there. So pretty easy way of getting 3 potency conduits. Um, and even this one isn't bad. Your healing spells and abilities have a chance to apply invigorating herbs, increasing the target's haste by 2% for 20 seconds. So, you know, if you use an expel or a chi wave on somebody or a vivify, you know, give them a little bit of a haste buff, that would lead you into finesse. But this route I'm going here will lead you into a 3rd potency conduit. Um, to be honest, if I went with Night Fae, I would probably go this route just because I like having one endurance conduit at least. And you know, the path I've chosen, that would be the only way to get that. Because I don't like this one for Windwalker at all. So yeah, just keep that in mind that if you go this route, 3 potency conduits, but no endurance conduit to increase your expel harm or, you know, things like that. So um yeah, and then the final buff. This is my biggest problem with Night Fae. It's not actually Phalanx Stomp that bothers me. It's this. Grove Invigoration. Healing or damage has a chance to grant you a stack of redirected anima up to 10. Phalanx Stomp grants you 1% of your max health and 2% mastery per stack for 30 seconds. So you'll see when I go through the rotation, like this doesn't stack up very quickly at all. And then whenever you Phalanx Stomp, it's going to drop those stacks, which is at the very least every 30 seconds. And the ability itself, as long as you're standing in the Phalanx, has a chance to reset. So yeah, we'll get into that and show it in the rotation. But all right, so first of all, I'll just show, I won't really do much of a rotation here. I'll just kind of show you while I'm in combat how long it takes to stack, you know, to even get 1 stack of the anima. So yeah, 1 finally went up there. And you can kind of watch the timer on the video and, you know, see how slowly this builds up. Finally got a second stack. And, you know, all this time, I'm just ignoring Phalanx Stomp, right? So you'll kind of see my point. All right, 3 stacks. So yeah, it stacks up all the way to 10, but you can see how long I've been fighting and only gotten 3 stacks. So if I popped Phalanx Stomp, then, you know, it'll drop those stacks and then I'll get 6% mastery and 3% max health. But yeah, it just, Phalanx Stomp really works against Windwalkers in this way, like having to hold off from using an ability that has a 30-second cooldown and can reset itself. And I've had this ability reset, you know, easily 2 or 3 times within 30 seconds. So, you know, that kind of makes the redirected anima buff even worse. Like, sure, if you drop, you know, if you get 1 stack in between and, you know, you hit Phalanx Stomp, like it'll give you, what, 2% mastery. So it's something. But yeah, I really feel like this whole thing is just bad all around for Windwalkers because it needs to either stack much, much quicker, knowing that you're going to use this ability more often, or you just have to, you know, make it more powerful and increase the cooldown. I think one of those two things needs to happen with this ability, but, you know, Blizzard could find the balance, right? Between either making this stack faster or increasing the cooldown and the power of this ability itself. Because it's overall a good idea, right? Like it rips chi and energy spheres out around whatever you're fighting, so that you know you can be weaving and picking those up as you need them, which is great. You know, and it has that consistent damage to it every 30 seconds or less, depending on whether it resets. But you know, that's the problem. Taking so long to build stacks and then dropping them whenever you use this ability. So, you know, and I feel like holding off on using this ability just to get another stack or two or whatever is just, it's unacceptable. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, that would be my proposal for the ability. So you already reset there. Get some of our rotational cooldowns back up and then we'll pop spirits again. Keep in mind I'm mostly ignoring these spheres that are dropping. So mostly gotten pretty bad RNG with this. Sometimes it'll reset much quicker. But yeah, like right there, I instantly got, you know, another reset on it. and sometimes you get, you'll go the full 30 seconds with getting no resets at all. So yeah, and the cool things are about it are obviously the spheres, the consistent damage portion of it, and being able to cover a wide area. So like if you're somewhat strategic about the way you move and position this, like you can cover this whole area in Phalons most of the time, unless you get really bad RNG and just don't get any resets. Excuse me. So yeah, unless you don't get any resets, then, you know, but even if you don't, you know, like usually, it has such a long area to it that you can kind of like keep moving in the pool and still be standing into it, maybe while your tank is moving mobs, or in PvP where like they're trying to waddle away from you while you have them slowed. Um, you can probably stay in it quite a bit, but the aesthetics, by the way, are just great. You can see that Blizzard did a great job with this Covenant aesthetically. Very nice to look at, and then the soul shapes and stuff too look really cool. But yeah, so that's Night Fae for Windwalker. Hope you guys got something out of this. I definitely appreciate you taking the time to watch, and let me know what you think on the Covenants for Windwalker. Not showing Necrolord at all, just because I feel like as bad as Night Fae is for Windwalker, like Necrolord is just complete trash for what I want to do in the game. Maybe it could be okay for Mythic Plus, where you're doing a lot more spinning crane kick than usual, but I don't know. Like it just looks really bad overall for Windwalker, so I'm not showing that one. But anyway, yeah. Long story short, appreciate you guys watching, and let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.